Every week, I sit with facilities managers, janitorial companies, and leaders in our industry. And the same frustration comes up again and again. Most cleaning companies don't actually listen. They all promise the cheapest price, the fastest turnaround, the perfect solution. But when the job starts, managers are left chasing, reminding, and picking up the pieces. I've learned that facilities managers aren't asking for miracles. They want something far more simple and far more rare: reliability, responsiveness, and proof that you can deliver. And so in this episode, I want to sit down with someone who has studied this problem closely, Spencer Painter, the founder of OutboundHero. His company has figured out how cleaning businesses can cut through the noise and finally send the kind of message that a facilities manager actually wants to open. This is not a conversation about theory. It's about what really works, what really matters, and what facilities managers secretly wish every cleaning company understood. So let's get into it. Spencer, thank you so much for being here. You cracked the code for many cleaning companies to connect with thousands of facilities managers. What are you currently working on?
Yeah, so I appreciate the intro. We've been helping cleaning companies effectively reach out to people that need cleaning for their business in a way that's non-abrasive. These cleaning companies are typically reaching out with archaic messaging, archaic systems, and potentially annoying facilities managers. But the thing about cleaning companies and sanitization companies, they really care about their work because that's all they do. Meanwhile, internal staff, it's a little bit different. So biggest thing is just helping these cleaning companies get in touch with more facilities managers at the right time when they need it.
Why did you start OutboundHero, and what problems were you really trying to solve?
I used to be a sales representative. I did outbound prospecting, cold calling, emailing, using LinkedIn to try to sell the product to a specific person. Long story short, we were helping a software company, we got referred into a cleaning company. We applied the B2B software sales methodology of high touch, very high relevance using AI and personalization. It's going to be a relevant message talking about what they likely need to have cleaned. And then that's going to help both parties.
Yeah, that's really cool that you took an opportunity and you made it happen. You've seen so many conversations between cleaning companies and facilities managers. Tell us, what do you see that works when they choose a cleaning partner specifically?
So I think there's three things. First thing is reliability. Second thing is responsiveness. And then third thing is proof. So going into reliability, they are a trusted company. You can trust that the job's going to be done correctly every time. The second thing is responsiveness, is just not ghosting these facilities managers. When something goes wrong, they can trust the company to do a spectacular service. And the third thing is these cleaning companies should build up proof. Whenever they do a good job, they should always ask for a review so that they can help communicate effectively to other facilities managers. This is a very good service that needs to be portrayed so that they can choose the correct vendor and feel good about their decision.
Oh, yeah. And when janitorial and cleaning companies reach out to facilities, what mistakes do they make usually?
They're usually talking about themselves, not about the prospect or the facilities managers. So it's all about, we've been in business for 20 years. We do this, that, and this. Yes, like it's effective to say we're helping this company down the street and it's very relevant and similar to you, but that's all you need is something that's relevant that stands out to them. So whenever we're reaching out to a facilities manager for a sanitization company or a cleaning company, we're going to make it about them. So if it's a laboratory, it would talk about their compliance needed and regular cleaning throughout the week. If it's an animal hospital, it's going to talk about compliance as well and making their staff lives easier so they don't have to do it themselves. And then if it's a church, it would talk about keeping a welcoming environment throughout their worship areas, lobby, and restrooms. So people want to come back. And so making that very bold and relevant in the message, making it about the prospect, that's what's going to make them tick and be like, okay, maybe I actually don't have the right solution right now. I respond to this person that reached out over email, and this is going to make my life a lot easier. And this person looks like a genuine person since they did their research on what we likely need to have cleaned, what we probably care about.
Could you elaborate on this kind of research? How would these cleaning companies go about making this research? What kind of tools do you think you would recommend?
Yeah, so I'll go in two parts. The first one is you can do it manually. You can hire someone to do so. You can do it yourself. I would recommend if you're running a cleaning company, probably hiring this out because you have so many different daily operations. But you can have a person go into each company and try to figure out what likely needs to be cleaned based on your exact services. So if you provide floor maintenance, if you provide stripping and waxing, if you provide sanitization, trying to figure out things that could be relevant to them. And then you can also just over time group out like this industry needs this industry needs this, and also go off of like the location, things like that, like city requirements. For example, a sanitization company we work with, they really like to talk about drains at restaurants because that's what they focus on. And so that's what we point out in the message. So it's relevant and it also just matches up to exactly what the service is so that there's no confusion, there's no fluff. And then also at the same time, like an auto body shop, when they're spraying all the chemicals away into the street, there's city requirements to make sure it's always cleaned and done right. And so if we're able to portray the message to say, this is how we can help you because we are a sanitization company, that's what's going to stick out. And that's what's going to be really relevant. And again, avoiding the fluff that doesn't matter. But that's the first thing. So I know I'm making this a long, elaborate way, but I wanted to mention that. And then second thing is we're in 2025. We're going into 2026. AI can do this for you. There's tools. One tool that we use is called clay.com. There's a thing called Claygent. That's an AI web scraper. All you need to do is tell the AI web scraper what your company does. Just go into depth around examples of what likely would need to be cleaned or whatever. And it will go in and research based on the prompt. So go visit this website, check out this Google Maps address and look at the company building and see what likely needs to be cleaned and match up potential needs. And so it does that. And then you can't just say, hey, write a personalized message off of that in that same prompt. You need to take that information from the AI web scraper and put it into a content only prompt. And that content only prompt will take that information and write what we do is a 14-word poke the bear question. So it's supposed to pick and prod at them to really to see if it's something that likely needs to be changed or prompt them to think differently about their current solution. So again, if we're emailing a church, how do you keep your worship areas consistently clean and welcoming throughout the week, throughout your services? And so again, it's taking that AI web scraper to do that research for you that you'd be doing manually in the first example I gave in bulk. And so you can run 10,000 companies at once in your service. If you have like a 50-mile service area, you can do it within probably 30 minutes to an hour and it will be done. And it won't even cost that much money. It's probably going to cost you a total of, it's 0.001 to run the AI web scraper, cents, 0.001, whatever that is. And then doing just the content only, it's even cheaper than that. So you probably out maybe $150 when you could have spent $300, $400 to a person for spending 10 hours doing manual research. So again, 2025 going into 2026, AI can do it for you.
But there's a lot of people, Spencer, who would benefit by just calling your company and getting that because it's not just the scraping parts and the connecting, and there's so much more to what you do. So let me ask you one more thing. So what makes facilities managers reply instead of hitting delete or just ignoring cleaning companies reaching out to them?
Good question. So the biggest thing that we know is, honestly, it's coming from my perspective. Hopefully, maybe you would agree, is you can see what they're saying in the email in your inbox before you even open it. And so if it is like the wrong name or it's a subject line that screams sales, just the natural person is going to ignore it. They're going to delete it. They're going to put it somewhere and they won't even open it. And so that message actually could help you, but simply the person that sent that email was not relevant. It just looks like it was written by AI or whatever, or it's not to them. And so they're going to remove it and it's not going to be something that's looked into. The biggest thing is, first, we don't think the subject line matters. Just be extremely concise. Sanitization question, cleaning question, or a question about your sanitization process. And then that personalized poke the bear question, the personalized line will appear in their email inbox before they even open the email, if they have that preview text turned on, which they almost every inbox does. And so they'll read that when they're scrolling through all their emails. They probably have 50 emails for the week or a day, depending on what status that person is or what role they are. So if it's a chief operations person, of course, they're getting a lot of emails, but a facilities manager, it's going to be a little bit less, but still every email counts. And if you're able to make it relevant in that email inbox before they even open it, that's what's going to win you that open. And then if you're just simply very concise after you say that personalized poke the bear question with, we do this, we do sanitization and cleaning services in the area, are you open to a complimentary quote? Complimentary is a great word to say. It's not free because free is a spam word.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure that you're landing in the inbox. So like, yes, you want to make sure it's relevant and look good to the person that you're reaching out to, but simply the facility manager needs to understand like, this is written to me. This is a free quote. Let's just try it out. Let's see if this can benefit our lives.
There's also an aspect of curiosity too. When you stated your example, it made me curious. I'm like, I would click to read this email just because I was curious. I want to know, is something I should be doing better? That's cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about outcomes. What happens when companies use the approach you just mentioned?
So they can consistently get, I would say, 40 good quality commercial leads if they're running enough volume. So when I say volume, and that's leads per month. So it can be a lot. Of course, not all leads will turn into closed deals and help these facilities managers make their lives easier. But simply, if you have enough volume, but making sure that it's relevant volume using this AI personalization and it's just short, snappy messaging, not talking about you, talking about that specific prospect. And then, you can get 40 plus. We even see upwards of 60 to 70 good quality leads that are looking for recurring services each and every month.
And then is it depending on the business, how many they can actually convert?
Yeah. So biggest thing we look at is how many leads convert into a walkthrough. So a site visit, if it's a good lead for them. For the leads that aren't looking for what the cleaning company is hoping for, and then they can give it to their friend in the area, or they can do something else. But simply the ones that they want to convert and work with based on the frequency of cleaning or the building size or what's needing to be cleaned. And then what we typically see is about 70 to 80, if not more, % of the leads that we provide to our clients, they get booked into walkthroughs. And then, of course, it comes down to their sales process and selling abilities at that in-person walkthrough.
Yeah, I'm very curious. I know that I'm going to be using your services soon for my business, and I'm super excited to see how this whole lead generation process converts to clients and to be able to rely on a service like that. It's just phenomenal. You've mentioned about reviews and how reviews are so important.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on why they matter so much for businesses nowadays?
I think the biggest thing to go back and just think of a conversation I just had the other week with a realtor, just that's not related to cleaning, but we were talking about how do you stand out in the real estate market, especially with so many realtors. Like there's a lot of cleaning companies in the area, but there's so many more realtors. So how do you stand out? How do you be a top producer? And it's simply knowing when to ask for a review or a referral, but simply a review. If you do a good service, you over deliver, you do what you set the expectation for, they're most likely going to be, of course, we'll provide a review. We'll give you a good Google review. And then also when you're asking for that review, just do the extra legwork and say, hey, it would really help if you put keywords in there and if you're elaborate in your message when you're writing that review on Google, or if we do a testimonial interview or something like that. But simply the biggest thing is probably just on Google reviews so that you can help your website and your search engine search engine optimization increase because you have so many keywords that will pop up in the local area so that you become one of the top cleaning vendors, so that facility managers know who to reach out to when they're looking for cleaning services or sanitization services, especially if you can get niche in that keyword list that you're hoping that this customer will list. So drains clean because they do sanitization great, or they were able to help the chemical wash. I'm not sure. I can't really think of what to say, but simply like an auto body shop, if they literally talked about the chemicals not going into the drains in the city, like that's going to be huge, because people that work in an auto body shop that need that specific service, if they can find that in the review and it was said, just because the cleaning company or the sanitization company said to or suggested to say that in the review, it's going to go a long way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's end with some practical advice. What should facilities managers ask before choosing a vendor?
I think they should ask first, are they vetted? Are they insured? Second thing is, are you going to show up every time when you say you're going to show up? Really challenging them on the expectations that the cleaning company sets. Because if they get wishy-washy or they don't really know how to answer that in a way that's like, yeah, we're going to show up all the time, and they're going to be all super enthusiastic, but when they're actually servicing them and they have so many other clients, like, are they really going to show up and be reliable? And then also responsive. And the last thing is really, have they done this before for a company like mine? So if the facilities manager is thinking, is this going to be a company that I can trust? Of course, the easiest answer is yes, if they have already worked with a bunch of companies and facilities managers that this facility manager already knows. And it's also relevant businesses that are adjacent or the same type of company, like a laboratory or an auto body shop, that this cleaning company and sanitization company already works with. So I think just going back to like the first thing that we mentioned is reliability, responsiveness, and then proof that it actually has been working for other companies in that specific area.
And I imagine reading the reviews, right? Because they can say whatever they can say, right? The reviews match they're saying. It's a great way to avoid trouble. All right. So final advice for janitorial companies, Spencer. Do you have any final words for that?
I would start, if you haven't used cold email, to reach out to contacts in your area, facility managers. Highly recommend it, but make sure the messaging is relevant to them. If you're just super robotic, it's going to make cleaning companies get a bad look, and it's going to keep influencing that whole aspect. Whenever I speak to a janitorial company, a sanitization or a cleaning company, they typically always say, oh, cold email doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for you because you're not sending enough relevant volume. So if you're able to figure out how to use AI or just hire someone to do that research for you, so that these personalized lines in the beginning of the email that you're sending is relevant to the person that you're reaching out to, and you're reaching out to enough of the right people, you're going to reach out to enough of the right people at the right time. So it's simply a timing game. It's a demand capture game. So again, if they need it, they're going to respond, or at least they'll ask a specific question so that conversation will get started. It's the same as doing door knocking, cold calling, or even paying Google for ads. Just reaching out to the right people with the right message at the right time.
And this works, right, Spencer? You've seen it.
It's working.
Yeah, that's why you're in business. All right, Spencer, this has been such a valuable conversation. For facilities managers, look for reliability, responsiveness, and proof, just like Spencer said, and ask the vendors for specifics. For cleaning companies, stop being vague, niche down, and back it up with reviews and photos. A big thanks to Spencer Painter of Outbound Heroes for joining us today. I'm Thais Graham, and this was the Dirt on Clean. Until next time, stay sharp, stay proactive, and let your results do the talking.
See ya.